Hello again. So I'm going to do a video explaining what it's like when you're celebrating your child's birthday when you have another child who's deceased. If you want to support me and the channel, there is a link to Cashapp, PayPal, and Venmo in the description. Do not feel obligated. So yesterday we celebrated my son's birthday. We took him to the LA Zoo, which is 2 hours away, and we kind of surprised him and showed him all the exhibits. It was very painful for me toward the end. You don't realize how much walking you've done or how big a place is until you're in chronic pain. So we did all that, and before I get more into that, the day before his birthday, I thought that during the whole birthday I would be wondering if my deceased son is with us in spirit, like if he's following us around, if he's having fun, if he's just watching us from afar and just looking at little clips of what we're doing. This is something I'm sure a lot of people think about when they lose a child. And it was more so kind of back in the day and in the past. I thought about this all the time, imagining that, my son is with us when we went to Walmart or when something happens. But so I thought that during his birthday yesterday, I'd be thinking about my son had passed away a lot. But I cannot remember thinking about him once. And that really bothers me, and I know it bothers a lot of other parents when you start not thinking about him as often as you normally did. It's almost like he didn't exist, which is a very painful thought. A lot of people think that people don't want to talk about their deceased child, and that's the case a good amount of the time. But for most people, I know they want their memory to live on. A lot of people will say, shh, don't bring up, they lost their son or their daughter or whatever. I want to talk about my son. I don't want to forget about my son. I want to think about him very often. I'm not a 1950s father or mother who, when their child dies, they take all the pictures off the wall and try to forget about their child because it's too painful. I want to remember my son all the time. I loved my son. He was my best friend. We had a lot of fun together, and I can't wait to see him again. So we went to the zoo. My son had a great time. And then I had to meet up with an old business partner and pick up a few things. And from there, we picked up my mother. And then from there, we went to the Ontario Mills because my son likes the Rainforest Cafe a lot. So a few friends met us there, and we had a great time. And once again, I didn't think about my son at all. And we were there pretty late. And from there, it's about 2 hours if there's no traffic to go home. But I still had to take my mom back home, which is about 10 miles away in the opposite direction. And then from there, I decided that I wanted to visit a friend real quick while I was in the area. So spent a couple hours there, and then we drove home. And we were almost home. We're about 15 minutes away, and then my car breaks down. It just lost all power, like if something got disconnected, which I believe is the serpentine belt. So I pulled over, and we had to wait for AAA to come. We called, and they told us that it would be about 45 minutes. An hour goes by, we don't hear anything, and we don't get those texts that you usually get, or a phone call, hey, we're the ones that are going to pick you up. We'll be there in X amount of time. We didn't get any of that. So my wife called back again, and they said, oh, yeah, they're going to be there in an hour. So we just said, well, can you have them call us? Because we want to get it confirmed. And she said, yeah, and we got a confirmation phone call. And the guy was there in about, I would say, 40 minutes. So that was pretty cool. But we ended up getting home at 3 o'clock. My son was woken up, so he stayed up for a little while. And, we asked him if he had a great birthday, and he was very, very happy. And it hit me when we were in the car waiting for AAA that, oh my God, I really haven't thought about my son today. And I would like to think that, I think sometimes that there's days that go by, and when I think about the previous day, I think, oh wow, I didn't even think about my son once. And I don't know how most parents who have lost a child feel, but for me, it's painful. I don't ever want to forget about my son. I want to think about him all the time. Like I said, when I lived close by the cemetery, I was going 2-3 times a day. Even though that I know that that's just the place that he was buried, it's just his carcass. It's not his spirit or who he was. But I guess on a certain level, it's the only way that I can really feel close to him on a physical level. Like I had brought up in the Soft White Underbelly video, that we are wired to lose our parents, and we are wired to understand that either we're going to lose our spouse or our spouse is going to lose us, but we're not wired to lose a child. It's just not the way it's supposed to be. They're supposed to bury us. So, they say the trauma from losing a child is so bad that it could rewire your brain. Think about that. Losing a child can rewire your brain. Kind of like if you've been on a drug for a very long time. It's losing a child is horrific. So my son did have a great birthday, and he is the same age as my son when he died. Not this exact age. He'll be the exact age when my son died on March 4th. And a friend did tell me that he felt that I would feel a lot better when my other son was about the same age, because, I'd be able to talk to him and hang out with him. I mean, I could hang out with him at any age, but, we can have a conversation, and I can see his personality, and he can see mine, and, we can function a little more together. Julian's birthday will be on March 28th, so I'm kind of thinking about that. I don't dread it or anything like that, but it's just, when it comes, you get the immediate feeling that I should be celebrating with him today. I should be buying him something. It should be a day that if we had a job, we would take the day off and hang out with him and have fun. But all I can do is think about him and talk to the air, hoping that he gets the message of that I love him and I can't wait to see him again and I wish that he was here. Even though that deep down I feel that he wouldn't want to come back. He loves it where he's at. But all these people that talk about heaven or the other side are all people who haven't been there. Even a lot of the time, you got to think logically. When you hear the near-death experiences, there is a common theme. They see a tunnel, then they see a light. They feel an extreme peace. Everything's okay. They don't want to come back. They have a life review, every frame of their life, all the good things they've done, all the bad things they've done. And I'll say that you judge yourself. It doesn't feel like a God's judging you. However, some of them kind of say things that, I don't know, kind of makes you wonder if they're lying a bit, or if our own consciousness kind of comes into play of what we're going to experience. For instance, not to get political, but I remember watching an NDE of a woman in Canada who knew nothing about politics. Some NDEs, they think they can predict the future, and sometimes they can. But this one lady said that United States pretty soon wouldn't have cash, that everything would be done, through credit cards and debit cards and things like that, and that Trump would get reelected and would stop all that. And she said, I don't know anything about politics. I don't like Trump. I don't dislike him. This is just what I experienced. And I watched another NDE where basically he said this guy Trump was the worst guy in the world, and he was the cause of a lot of problems, and that he was going to get reelected and cause more problems, and that we'd be at a war. So you just don't know what to know. I mean, you don't know what to think. These are all people who really haven't fully been there, at the very least, to experience what heaven is like or what the other side is like. So how do they know? And me having OCD, I can't let go of stuff. These thoughts come in my mind, and I have to replay them, and think about what I know and what I don't know, and what is the truth. Losing a child, I think, already makes you do that, but having OCD with that, my God, it just does not go away. On another note, when Lucas was about 3, I noticed he would do things, and it was almost like Jules was there in spirit, kind of telling him what to do. Like, we tell him, hey, get whatever candy you want, and he chose the same exact candy that my son Julian would get out of all the candies. And, he was a little over 1 year old when Julian died. And then we'd ask him something, and he'd give an answer just like Julian, and it's like you would swear that he is being coached or being told what to do. And this is very interesting. One day, my wife shows Lucas a picture of us and Jules, and she says, "Do you know who that is?" He goes, "Yeah, it's me." And we're like, "No, that's Julian." And Lucas goes, "No, that is me. You don't understand. We can switch brains." So it kind of makes you wonder if Jules was able to enter his body and take him over for a little while in spirit or something. But we always thought that was very weird. Lucas was very adamant, like he knew what was going on, and we clearly didn't have an idea. So it's something to think about. Thank you very much for watching. I'm getting a lot of positive comments still from the Soft White Underbelly video. A lot of people say that I've helped them or helped them think differently. Some people say they're not going to drink and drive anymore. Some people say they're not going to drink anymore. I'm glad. I'm so appreciative that these videos are helping people. I really am. And I'm so glad that it did more than what I wanted. I just wanted one person to be saved from that video. Anyway, thank you very much. And I'll talk another time about a different subject, maybe OCD. See you then. Bye-bye.